when we think about mothers, we generally have an image that's depicted of a nuclear family where the dad and the kids live together with the mom. And it's through that lens that we get the context and the picture of the status of mothers. I want to dive into the reality that this is not the picture in every household, and the reality that many are live with. And I'm hoping that you can each give examples of how, let's say, divorced mothers may be denied their rights by an ex-spouse because the ex somehow thinks she no longer has the same rights she had when she was married. Does divorce negate rights of the mother pertaining to her children in terms of child support, etc.? How do each of you as a religious leader deal with this issue when congregants come into your office? And Rabbi Lustig, do you want to start?
So sure, I will tell you, and I think Rabbi Shankman, you know this because we share this concept together. When people come in, and we find this amongst life cycle, divorce happens between parents. It doesn't happen to children. Parents don't divorce children. Mothers and fathers may get divorced, but mothers and fathers cannot nor should not or morally do not divorce their children. And so it really is incumbent upon parents to be supportive of each other so that we do nothing to infringe upon or create a situation where our anger or our displeasure towards a spouse would influence anyone. Now that said, it's a very difficult situation because often marriages that end because there's a tremendous amount of angst and hostility, and it's very important that we counsel people not to blend, to allow that to bleed over in any form or fashion. And so really it becomes the moral obligation not only of the parent but of the community. I think also I will add another dimension to this. More often than not is how do we in a particular place help people nurture a relationship that even is with someone who's physically existing, because Rabbi Shankman and I have faced this often where we've had a tragedy in a family where a mother has been lost. It is a devastating situation. It is a wonder when somebody else comes into their life and somebody assumes responsibility and gives them love and care. And often we spend time counseling those people of how do we create a loving relationship and still bolster the relationship. The reality is that no one is going to be diminished in a divorce situation or in a situation of a death by giving kavod, giving honor to that other person. There's going to be no situation where a child will react negatively, in a sense, when someone says, giving them a message that you should respect your parent, you should respect the person in your home who gives you love, your stepmother, you should respect the memory of your mother, and you should respect the person who comes into your life and is nurturing now. Those are things that it's the psyche of the person that's struggling with it that has to overcome it. It's not upon the child. And we do a great disservice when we do that to our children, when we bring that angst and that negativity into their lives, especially because Judaism tells us so much. We have to care for the powerless, the widow, the orphan, and a child in a divorce situation becomes a powerless individual often. And usually their angst and bad behavior is because they're trying to exert the power and try to divert some of the things that are happening to them.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to say that the Holy Quran full of stories of single mothers. We learn in the Holy Quran, I don't know if in Judaism is the same thing, but in the Holy Quran, there's a lot of talk about the mother of Moses, but there's no mention of the father. And how mother of Moses struggled with the tyrant of her time, protecting her child and being there for her child. Because the problem in men-dominant society is an assumption that the woman cannot raise the children. The man has to do that. For the man make an argument in front of an imam or a judge in Muslim countries, that he is a man that have all the resources, so he can take care of the children, because he thinks about dollar sign, that he has the resources and she does not. And we learned in Islam about strong women. There's children by themselves. Hagar, the wife of Abraham, he left her in the middle of the desert with no credit card, with no SUV, with no cell phone. And she made it. She was the founder of the whole city of Mecca. A single, strong single mother. And the story of mother of Jesus in the Holy Quran. That is, he doesn't have biological father. A woman raised him. Therefore, the assumption in some people's mind, from the religious perspective, the man can the one who in charge of raising the children and upright, leaving them upright, and so forth. That's a false notion. Number one. Number two, the problem I can see in a migrant community, that if the man is in America before his wife, you get to know the culture, become well established. This woman comes in, she completely dependent on him to get to know her way in America, and now have children together. Now, because he speaks fluent English, because he can represent himself, he can hire a lawyer, women lost their custody of their children because of lack of ability to represent themselves. To abusive husband, lost their children for abusive husband. And that's why I tell people, if a man wants to really show love and respect for his children, has to respect their mother. If really he loves his children, should love the mother of those children, because that's why it begins. For it's very important. And by the way, I can tell you that it hits me so hard when I have the first child, that what my mother went through, because I saw what my wife went through with our first baby. I lost my mother when I was 4 years old. And I know what it looked like to grow up without a mother. Although I have a great stepmother, was a very loving and caring individual. But I want just to say that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, is prohibited in Islam to separate the mother from her children. Prohibited, unless you're harming them physically, or it is prohibited. Not only that, he was walking with his companions. They rested under a tree. One of his companions climbed the tree and took the little birds. And the mother bird came and flew and found over the nest, complaining. The Prophet came in back and saw the bird flying above his head. He said, what happened to this bird? Anyone who have taken any from the nest? They said, yes. He said, return it back to the nest. If he did not allow separating a bird from her little one, how about the mother? Therefore, I think I agree with the Rabbi 100% in the issue of counseling, that we have to counsel people. You have to remember that the divorce is not between children. Parents get divorced, but they have to find a way that to maintain a healthy relationship of both parents to be involved in the child life, so that the child can understand that although they lost their parents to be on the same roof, but they have not lost the connection between their parents and them.
Thank you both.